Hi, I'm Jen. Today on our webinar, we have Tami Rosen, our Chief People Officer, who's here to talk about Atlassian's response to COVID-19. In this interview, we talk about the steps our people team has taken to shift to remote work and advice for other HR and leadership teams on how to do the same.
I'm the Chief People Officer for Atlassian, and I've been at Atlassian since the last week of January.
Oh, wonderful. So you hit the ground running.
I guess you could say that.
Okay, so as we all know, COVID-19 is affecting the world. It has helped us transition very quickly into remote culture. So Atlassian's done a fantastic job of making that transition. So we all use Confluence, which is an open and central source of truth for teams and companies. Can you describe how your team has used Confluence to communicate, both between the groups that have come together to work on this and how you've gotten the information out to Atlassians as a whole?
Well, Confluence has been sort of at the center, not only for planning documents, but also for us to be using it for blogging and for preparing for global town halls and really just sharing information across a broad set of people, whether it's been Erica Fisher, our Chief Legal Officer, our comms teams, and all the different people that have come together to really rally around helping with COVID.
Great. So I wanted to touch back for a second. At what point did you realize that we needed to start reacting to COVID?
So I was just looking back at that because it was a combination of myself and Erica Fisher who kind of came together, and it was really middle to late February when we first had the conversation, and we brought the actual group together. I think it's actually even February 20th or February 25th or something like that.
Oh, wow. That's a really quick reaction.
Yeah.
So you have put together a resource that is called OneSource. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so OneSource is a collaborative effort that was started between the comms team and Erica and I being the leads on the COVID work, and a bunch of other people that were contributing. So we had formed this group, the COVID exec group, and in that COVID exec group is comms, Erica, myself, and then Molly Hellerman, who we brought in to be sort of the project lead across all things COVID. And later on, we brought in Kathy Mead as well to be sort of co-anchoring that group. And OneSource started out with, we need to have a group of FAQs that would be out for the entire organization. And we immediately got to work on it, putting together all the information we thought people would want to know.
And I know that it's updated pretty frequently. How often do those teams meet to bring in new information?
Well, early days, it was, I don't know, maybe minute by minute.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, but then it was really daily and then weekly. I think on the early part, it was Eric and I were sort of the last approvers of the content, but the comms team, I have to huge hats off to the comms team for gathering information, finding the questions that were on the minds of everyone, and then helping us to find the right experts to get the right answers out to people.
Okay. So Atlassian as a whole is a very open culture. There's been great feedback between us and the leadership team. So how do you feel that this culture helped during the shift?
Well, there are good things to it, and there's also, sometimes it's harder. I would say the good things is that people appreciate hearing all the information you know when you know it, and we've tried to be very consistent and frequent about our feedback. And making sure that we're hitting all different types of channels, whether it's the OneSource page for people that want to consume it and read it themselves, to the global town halls, to the videos that Scott and Mike are doing, or each of the exec team members are doing for their teams, or even just the one-on-ones people are having. So really just try to make sure that communication is first and foremost in everyone's mind, and you can't communicate enough in these times. So more and often and frequent is really just the mantra that we've been putting out. So just really trying to hit every type of form you can, whether it's a blog, a global town hall, or just one-to-ones.
Awesome. What for you personally, as a past experience, has helped you carry out a shift like this? This has been very admirable effort.
Well, my background, I'm originally from New York, and I worked at Goldman Sachs for the first part of my career, almost 17 years there. And I've been through 9/11. I've been through 2008. I've been through, a steam pipe bursting at the bottom of Manhattan and had to evacuate people. We've had to deal with tsunamis, earthquakes, you name it, volcanoes. So I think it's just, this crisis, of course, is a once in a lifetime one, but you can draw from all those different things about the importance of what you need to do to care for people during this time. And I always start with what do our employees need, and usually it's information, and then it's sharing how we can help them navigate the different things that are coming at them when it's coming at them.
One of my questions was to ask if you had any unexpected side effects of COVID, but it sounds like you have seen it all.
Well, we all have unexpected side effects of any crisis. You can't be prepared for everything. Like everyone else, I struggle on the personal side too. I've always been a working mother, and now I'm, the at-home mother, the working mother, all in one. So that was new. I don't think in any of the other crises that I've dealt with, I had to contend with that integration of work and life so immediate and so quickly. And then having to help others think through that too. And that's something that's really kept me up at night through this is caring about all the parents and the caregivers and how they're going to manage that in their homes while also being productive at work.
What are some of the tools that you've been using both as a CPO and personally as a mother to work through this?
I think it's really just continuing to ask for help, communicate, share best practices, show vulnerability, and really connect with people. Because at the end of the day, it's about people, and we're a team, and harnessing the energy from the team is really helpful. There's been moments where I've needed to lean on different members of my team, or even Scott as my boss, and trying to get support when I need it, and then even family and friends at times. So it's really just there's no magic bullet. You just have to sometimes trial and error.
Good to hear. So a lot of HR leaders are looking in this time to bigger companies to see how exactly they're reacting. What is some of the advice that you would give specifically to HR teams that are looking to lead?
So first and foremost is to figure out a communication plan that you can actually deliver on and continue to deliver on and be consistent about, because that's first and foremost. Without information, people will create information, and that's where people get stressed out more. I use this example, like during the 2008 crisis, our CEO at Goldman left a voicemail on people's voicemails back then every other day, where he was and what was going on. And he pretty much said nothing, but it didn't matter. Just hearing his voice of, hey, here I am, this is what's going on, stay the course, we're all good. People felt satisfied. And that year at the end, when we had our vital signs or people survey, people were so excited to be part of the company and felt really connected to what was going on. So it's really the simple things of staying close to people, communicating, even when you don't think you have a lot to say. And the other piece is also being honest, not trying to spin a message, making sure you tell them the good and the bad, what you know, what you don't know. So that's first and foremost, I'd say, to people. And then try to figure out with your population the tools that you need to provide them, whether it's supporting managers on how they're working remotely for their teams, or individuals that are feeling isolated, or whatever it may be. Try to find those big things that you can create some programs around to support them, and be creative.
What are some of the specific steps that you took to lead your team?
It's a great question, because during these times, it's super easy to get paralyzed with stress and frustration and concern. And because you're not only thinking about yourself and the situation you have personally, but also how you're going to help other people around you. And the big thing that I tried to do, and using Confluence, started out with a blog to my team about how we need to navigate this for the overall organization. And not only do we have to think about ourselves and what we need to do for us, but we also have to rally together to support the challenges that our organization is going to face. And I really compartmentalized it into, we could be paralyzed or we could be mobilized. And it's easy to get stuck in the paralysis of what's happening, but let's try to find the good out of this and come together and support the organization where it needs to be supported, And it started with bringing cross-functionally a group of people together to start leading in this space, whether it was the onboarding of hundreds around the world in all different geos and having to work through immigration issues, legal issues, travel issues, getting equipment, getting people through training. All of that is not one group's responsibility. So it's harnessing the power of all of Atlassian to kind of help through IT, workplace experience, recruitment, the HR business partners, the training teams, to kind of come together to do that. And they did that seamlessly and stepped up to the charge, and then realized, wait, we can't just onboard people. We also have to help our leaders think about how they're leading through this time. So they spun up webinars on how to lead in these uncertain times, how to deal with remote working, how to help parents who are working from home, how to offer flexibility, how to think about performance. So there's been a series of webinars that we've created. Our workplace experience team, almost overnight, basically translated everything that we were doing in our offices to remote, whether it was the exercise efforts or helping parents and creating this newsletter. We spun up a Walk This Way challenge to try to get people away from their desk and actually starting to mobilize at home, because we knew many of us would be sitting and stuck at our desk in front of videos all day. So just trying all different creative ways to help people think differently about this time and really have a good experience. And that didn't happen overnight. It was because the team within my HR team mobilized. And today we spend every time we can, whether it's our town halls or our meetings, showcasing those great events that we're spinning up to support the organization and mobilizing. This week, though, we transitioned to how my team is doing and really focused on how they can think about themselves. And we spun up another video and a discussion and a Confluence page where people are sharing what they're proud of and where they're struggling. And the things that I love about that is that where they're proud is all the cross-functional support and work that they're doing together to support Atlassian. The pride they have is just tremendous. And where they're struggling is like everyone else is dealing with sometimes the loneliness or dealing with families or dealing with the work balance. But now the team is coming together to help each other, which is just beautiful.
What an awesome way to still stay in touch and see how everyone's doing.
Yeah, it's been really awesome. So, and again, just super thankful because my team has just stepped up to the charge, as has every Atlassian.
Have you found any silver linings of this experience for Atlassian?
I think one of the key silver linings is you're getting to know people at a different level and you're connecting with them because you're now in their homes. So you're seeing their children, you're seeing their pets, like I see in the background, you have a cat. And you get to know people more because you're now in their homes with work. And I think the connection process, even though it feels weird because you're on Zoom all the time, you're getting to know people more, and you're also willing to allow people to be a little more human. So I think that's like a great silver lining for teams to connect in that way.
Do you feel like that's the thing that's affected us most as a community within the company and maybe in the world?
Yeah, because what I hear now is people are doing virtual drinks all over the world, which they never did. They're connecting with people they didn't normally connect with. Today is Passover and I'm having a Seder with family members all over the world. And that's something that we would never do. We just would have done it ourselves. So I do think it is bringing families together and people are really connecting. You even see celebrities like they're going stir crazy in their homes because they can't do things that they want to do. And you're seeing them be more human as well. So it's bringing out a different part of humanity that we don't normally see because everybody's in a rush to work or back from work or have their things that they're doing. So I do think that's a silver lining. And I do think it's the positive of it. It's also, it's also sad that we can't all be together and people are scared and nervous about, getting the virus.
Mm-hmm. So what is the long-term plan for future shifts? We don't know where this is going and it's all a little uncertain.
Yeah, so that's something we're talking a lot about at the COVID exec group now is how to plan for when we go back to work, how we go back to work, how are we going to continue to work, what learnings do we have through this process of working remotely that we can carry on and carry forward as we, get back to something that would be considered more normal. I don't believe we snap back. I don't believe it just gets erased and forgotten. I believe we learn from it. And there are things that, you know, a lot of people were reticent about remote work, and being forced into it, I think has given us a different way and a different lens of thinking about it. And I, you know, this group that we're bringing up under Molly Hellerman and thinking about the efforts around it, I think will be really interesting to see how creative we can be to harness the best of remote and in-office work, and looking at how our offices help to convene people, and maybe will allow people or want people to continue to have, you know, shift works or working in different ways in different time zones and stuff. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here for us to think differently, and really to attract also a lot of different types of workers we probably wouldn't have attracted before.
Really, yeah, this is a brave new world that we're all going into together.
Yeah, it's opportunity.
Well, thank you very much for joining. Is there anything else that you would want to add in, either for the HR teams and leadership teams, or just in general?
Well, I would add that what I've seen in the time that I've been here is an incredible group of people that are showing tremendous character at a very difficult time. And people are incredibly selfless, thinking about how to help everyone. I've seen my team cross-functionally work to onboard hundreds around the world remotely, and managers making sure those remote workers feel as though they were not remote workers. I've watched managers make sure they're connected to people and caring about their situations at home. And that's the beauty of Atlassian and the culture we have. And it just makes me so proud to be a member of the Atlassian team, and reinforce why I chose to come here, because the character and the culture is just so spectacular, and the people just make that. So for me, this has been, you know, I get like shivers thinking about it, and pinch myself for being here, because it's just such a wonderful company.
Well, we're very happy to have you. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.